continuing on with creating the create user story accordion here, I am going to clean up the fact that when I click on K, A opens, and when I click on A opens. All right, if I refresh my page, it's gonna do K both times. I just set it on something else and didn't save. That's why it was doing A. Okay, so I want it to click, when I click on K, I want it to say K, and when I click on A, I want it to say A, okay? So what I'm going to do is I am going to on click here, I'm gonna turn this into an anonymous function. And I'm going to call the onOpen function. And I'm also going to say set selected feature is equal to feature. All right, so now I should be able to click K, and I see K, and I click A, and I see A, okay? You're seeing the same user stories because those are hard-coded in, all right? So now we can go ahead and, similar to how we have an add feature button like that, we are going to add that to our user stories. So I'm going to go ahead and paste that in. I'm going to rename it, create user story accordion. All right, and then I'm going to kind of go through and take a look. All right, so I'm going to start down here. I'm going to say, let's look at the design to make sure. Okay, so we are going to have user story name. The error message will be user story name is required. Here we're going to have user story description. And then here we're at the button say create user story. Okay. So let's scroll up. We want to change this to add a user story. All right. And let's look at our submit function. All right, so name, description. Yeah, name is required, description is not, so that's good. That's good. That should be fine. This is going to actually change to create user story. And then we don't want to pass in a project ID. We want to pass in a feature ID, which doesn't exist yet, but it will. So here we want this to be a user, or nope, the feature ID. And then here we want to add, this is going to be user stories. And then this is going to be set user stories, which don't exist. Okay, so then this is going to be user stories, which is going to be of type user story. All right, let's go ahead and go back here. All right, so let's do type user story, which is going to be equal to name string, description string, status string. And then let's go ahead and export that. So now we should be able to import that here. All right, so then this is not going to be featured. This is going to be user story, and then user ID or feature ID here, and then set user stories. Okay, so let's scroll until we see some red. So set user stories, and that should be good. All right, let's delete this unused import, and let's go back. So I'm going to open up feature K, and I want to drop this down here. So underneath my box with all of my mappings, we are going to add our create user story accordion, which I think we didn't change the name of. All right, so let's export it down here. All right. Okay, so it's mad because we need to do our props. All right. So let's go ahead and add the state here for user stories. Set user stories is equal to use state. And then we're going to set it equal to sample user stories to begin with. Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead and edit. I'll add the components here. So user stories is equal to user stories. Nope. And we have set user stories is equal to set user stories. All right, and feature ID. So that is going to be part of, so we have feature name, feature description. So we want to pass in feature ID as well. So then let's do feature ID is equal to feature ID, which we don't have yet. So let's go back to project. And we want to do feature ID is equal to whichever feature we are so selected feature dot ID. So we need to add ID number here. Feature ID does not exist on props. So let's take a look. All right, cool. All right. So let's open up K. Let's click on add a user story, and then we have our modal. Right, we clearly need to have a gap between those two. So let's go back to our feature modal and see what's up. And it seems like we need to take our accordion and throw it here instead. And yeah, that looks great. So now we can add a user story in here. Perfect. So let's go ahead then to create user story accordion. All right, and let's just do a console log of name, and then let's do a console log of description, so we can make sure that we are getting the right information. And our on change and on submit are all working. So user story name, let's say user story 6. This is my description for user story 6. Create user story. All right, so the name and description are good. And then yes, we have not found. That makes sense because we do not have that route yet. All right, but we went ahead and added the user story component for create. We have the on change, and we mostly have the on submit. Okay, so we're gonna pause here, and then we will go ahead and work on the database after. You know, let's get our story route up, and then we'll pause. All right, so we want to go to auth controller. Let's go to our create feature, and we're going to copy that. And we're going to have create user story instead. Create user story. And we're going to call this user story DTO. User story DTO. So we need to then create a user story DTO, which will look very similar to the feature DTO, except we're going to be passing in a feature ID. And then we are actually going to delete that, and we are just going to console.log user story DTO and rec dot user dot sub. All right, let's give that a try. So add, create story, bad request. Let's see what we did wrong. Create dash user dash story. Let's go back. And what kind of thing did, ooh, perfect. This is what we need. We're unauthorized because we've been logged in for too long. So without messing up this, I wanted to see this here. Okay, this is where we can add handling if the error is token is expired. So we're going to say if error dot response dot data dot message is equal to unauthorized, then we will do a toast and we will redirect to log in. And then we're going to say something like your token has expired, or let's say your session. They don't know they're using your token. Your session has expired. Please log in again. Okay. We don't have redirect. So let's add that. Const redirect is equal to use redirect. Nope. That const navigate. Use navigate. Yes. Redirect is on my router on the beginning, on my index file. Okay, so let's add user story. User, so let's say 6, test 6, create user story. Your session has expired, please log in done. Again, so now let's just create an else here. So this is allowing us to catch a specific error for when we're loading a page, it will redirect us for us, but we don't have this handled if the token expires while we're making a request within a component. Okay, so let's copy this. We want to put this on the create project. One, and then we have to add const navigate is equal to use navigate. All right, and then we have to add that to the feature 1, 2. All right, and then let's go up and const navigate equals use navigate. Perfect. All right, so then I can go ahead and log in, see Stows Cup, send. All right, now let's go ahead. So project A, feature K, user story, let's add one, say user story 6. This is my description of user story 6. Okay, create user story, and our user story DTO and our sub is correct. It says feature ID 1, which is feature K. So let's go ahead and refresh our database, but it already looks like, yes, 1 is feature K. Perfect. All right, I will see you in the next video to work on the back end.